Defense Secretary Mark Esper has banned displays of Confederate flags on military installations without explicitly naming the Confederate flag. So let's get into some explanations of how that's going to work. So Esper effectively banned displays of the Confederate battle flag on U.S. military installations, saying in a memo Friday that the flags we fly must accord with the military imperatives of good order and discipline, treating all of our people with the dignity and respect and rejecting divisive symbols. So the memo doesn't explicitly mention Confederate banners, but it does list the kinds of flags that you can fly on these installations, and the Confederate flag is just not one of those. So that's kind of the way it's working out, and it's going to potentially cause a collision with the president, who we already know has been upset about potentially renaming some military, some of their
bases.
Some of our bases and things like that were named after some of these Confederate generals and names like that. So we'll see where he falls with the flag being flown there too. So we'll see how tight he can go.
So guys, this upcoming election is one of the most important we've ever had in American history. If you watch the Young Turks a long time, you've seen me say that that's not the case for most of the elections we've covered, and we've covered a lot of elections. This is the big one, because if Trump wins, he gets to say, no, the American people agree with me. The Confederate flag is awesome. The racism and the slavery that it stood for is awesome. And we're not gonna rename those bases. And we're gonna allow people to fly the Confederate flag on US military bases. Now, I'll do the usual. I'll remind you that the Confederacy went to war with the country of America. So the American military bases being named after our enemies is, at a minimum, quite ironic. I don't think we have any military bases named after Osama bin Laden or Hirohito or Goebbels. And all of those Confederate generals killed more Americans than all the guys I just named. So it's totally unacceptable. The military and the Secretary of Defense are actually on the right side on this. The Joint Chiefs agrees with the Secretary of Defense, and the military is making a stand for America. They're saying, if we're the United States military, we fly United States flags. We do not fly the flags of our enemies. Unfortunately, Trump does not agree. And part of the reason why they didn't specifically mention Confederate flags in that statement is for fear of invoking Trump's wrath. But they're on a collision course. And if Trump wins again, he'll definitely fire Esper. He'll fire the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He'll put in complete lackeys. They'll not only fly the Confederate flag, but then Trump will have gained control over the military. And God knows what that means for the next election, if we have one.
When you sign up for a spend and save account at aspiration.com/TYT, we will plant 10 trees. Let's save the planet together.